Hey everyone, welcome back to the Finance Things in Life. I'm Matt, along with my brother Anthony, and today we're going to be talking about rollovers.
Yeah. It sounds like a simple topic, but there can be a lot of decision making to have happen. Usually, at least from our experience, people change jobs frequently. You could forget about a retirement plan, you not know that you have a retirement plan, and then that money's just kind of floating in the abyss. Hopefully, invested the way that you'd like to, but not often the case.
Yeah, yeah. I think, like you said and touched on it, 401k plans or retirement plans in general. When you do switch jobs and you don't move it, and then you switch jobs again and again, it's easy to kind of forget about the original retirement plan, especially if you left it there with the original company. So, it's a good thing to kind of stay on top of it and look at your options as far as rolling it over to either your new retirement plan or maybe to an IRA. And there's kind of pros and cons and benefits to each one.
Yeah, I mean, you could cash it out too if you wanted to. Obviously, you would end up paying tax on that as well as a 10% penalty depending on how old you are. But that is also an option. But a lot of the conversations that we try to have with people is really just kind of assessing what the retirement plan is. I was talking to someone recently, and they wanted to roll over an IRA into their new employer because they were getting a match. And you don't get a match on the money you move into the 401k plan or the...
That would be nice.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
You can still get that match as long as you're contributing to your employer-sponsored plan. But rolling it into the retirement plan, you don't get a match on that money.
Yeah.
So it's really assessing kind of what your overall goals are. But there are some advantages and disadvantages to rolling into a retirement plan or your employer's plan, as well as to an IRA.
Yeah, so, maybe we can go into detail on some of the pros and cons or the benefits to each option for people, and then kind of what it looks like as far as the rollover process or the consolidating one plan into another and what that looks like as well. So
yeah. So this topic kind of perked our interest because of some of the news recently. There's been a lot of layoffs lately. Was it Amazon laid off how many people? Was it
30,000?
30,000 people.
Even some of the local companies. There's been, not only people transitioning, switching careers, but, obviously layoffs recently and restructuring of companies. So there's been a lot of people out there that have had to make, decisions as far as their retirement and their accounts. And, this podcast, this discussion is trying to just, kind of go over what your options are and what it looks like.
Yeah. And a life event like that is a great time to kind of reassess everything. Look at what you have, look at where you're going, what you'd like to do, things along those lines. So obviously some of the perks about rolling into an employer-sponsored plan, convenience. It's all in one place. If you want to consolidate, say your plan is being held at Voya and you want to move your plan into your company's plan, you log into Voya and all your money is right there. They've got all the investment options there. It's, they try to keep it as simple as possible, just like all the other providers. They'll have a list of investments that you can invest in and wipe your hands of it and move on.
Right. Yeah, and typically, in a retirement plan, the investment decisions, if you're going to make any investment changes, that's all on you, as the employee, as the owner of that account, you're making those changes, you're logging in. So you have to have a little bit of more of a hands-on approach if you want to do it yourself in a retirement plan. So that's kind of, I don't know if it's a con. For some people, it might be a pro. Some people might like having that flexibility and that option. They enjoy doing it.
Right.
But for the investors out there that really want a hands-off approach, that might not be the best idea for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a pretty hands-on job, if you're in the medical industry and you're, I was talking to someone recently that was an emergency room nurse. I don't think they want to be thinking about their accounts at that time. They want to have that stuff taken care of, so they just want to focus on what they do best and have that dealt to a professional.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be a pro or a con. Depending on the type of plan or where it's held, some of the fees could be lower, or could be more expensive depending on the plan.
Yeah, typically in a retirement plan, the fees tend to be a little less than you would outside of a retirement plan because you're not having that active management by an advisor. But that's always something. One, if you don't know what your fees are, that's probably where you start because there are plans out there that have more expensive fees. But looking at the fees and kind of weighing the pros and cons of, okay, this is what my fee is in an IRA. This is what my fee is in my retirement plan. Where am I getting the better deal?
Yep.
So,
yeah. And then if you did want to move it into an IRA or a Roth IRA, if you've got Roth contributions, that process is fairly simple. Obviously, depending on the companies, some companies have different rules that they have to follow, but at least in my experience, I'll usually hop on a joint call with someone, call whichever provider it is, walk through the prompts, and just basically ask for that rollover. Typically, they'll cut you a check. Sometimes they'll do it electronic. I think they still do it electronic, but most times they'll cut you a check to the address on file, and then basically just have that check brought to wherever the IRA is held, and have it deposited into your account.
Yeah. So things to kind of keep in mind if you do a rollover from a retirement plan. One, as long as you're moving those assets from, let's say it's a traditional 401k to an IRA, a traditional IRA, those tax savings the tax incentives that you've had are going to continue. Mm-hmm. There's going to be no tax consequences as long as you do it properly. One thing to keep in mind is sometimes these providers will send the check directly to your new advisor, which makes it simple. They send the check there, they deposit it into your IRA, and you're good to go. But things that can't kind of keep in mind is if they send it to the address of record, you have 60 days to make sure you get that into your IRA. If not, that's when it could become a taxable event, or even an event that's penalized because you're under the age of 59 and a half. So,
good point.
Kind of think some things to keep in mind when processing a rollover.
Yeah, and one of the other small things is usually these providers do charge a fee for those rollovers. It's pretty minimal. I mean, it's anywhere between, I've seen like $25 to $75.
Right.
Pretty minimal, but something just to keep in mind so it doesn't catch you off guard. But it's a pretty simple process. You could even do it online with some providers as far as requesting that rollover. And then make sure the address on file is actually the same one. If you've left a job 15 years ago and you've moved 3 times since then, you got to make sure you update that address on file, or you may not see that check for a while.
Right. Another thing to kind of keep in mind as far as whether you're consolidating your accounts into IRAs or even the new employer plan is that if you're not doing that and you have additional life events happening, that you now need to remember to go back to your old retirement plan and update beneficiaries or addresses or your contact information. Because if you're not following or keeping an eye on those accounts, it's easy to forget about those, and then easy to forget about those life events. So God forbid something were to happen and now you're looking to make some changes, or let's say you pass away and you have the incorrect beneficiaries listed. I mean, that's
a mess.
That I think it's more than a mess,
to put it lightly.
Right. So that's one of the other reasons that we kind of encourage people to either roll it into an IRA or consolidate into your new employer plan and not have those accounts lingering out there.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. You don't want your ex-spouse or ex-boyfriend, whoever it is, getting a beneficiary check someday.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep that stuff updated.
Yeah, I just met with someone where they were listed as the beneficiary of their ex-boyfriend.
Really?
He passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And I think they had, I don't know, it was years. I mean, it was 5-10 years. Yeah, and he never updated it. Fortunately, he had never gotten married or had a significant other,
right? Seriously,
or kids. But yeah,
gosh, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, one of the other advantages of moving to an IRA compared to an employer-sponsored plan is open architecture. As far as the investment options, you get a little bit more flexibility there. Typically with the 401k plan, you're investing in different mutual funds, different asset classes. With the IRA, you're able to invest in your stocks, your ETFs, your mutual funds, different bonds, CDs, all sorts of different investment options. So just a little bit more flexibility there, the ability to diversify a little bit more if you wanted to. Some people are very particular about the companies they're invested in. If they've got a big attraction towards companies like your NVIDIA or Apple, whatever it might be, that's your opportunity to invest in those companies specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, we could go on and on about, the pros and cons, and really it's going to depend on you as the investor, what you're most comfortable with. If you're comfortable kind of having a little more hands-on approach, consolidating to your new plan probably makes the most sense. But if you want more hands-off approach where it's more open architecture, an IRA probably makes a little more sense for people.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't stress enough, weighing all your options, looking into all your options, and who knows, you might want to be that person that has a hands-on approach and move it and consolidate it into your retirement plan. But maybe the investment options aren't the greatest. Maybe it's a very limited lineup.
Yeah.
So that might encourage you to do something different. So.
Yeah. Yeah. The options are there for you. Like Matt said, weighing all of those options, talking to different people. I just spoke with someone recently that had rolled over an old plan, and they just weren't informed about what they were actually doing and just didn't know what they were getting into. They didn't know what the IRA was. They didn't know what the Roth IRA was. They didn't know a lot of the different things. They just kind of said, I wanted to roll it over, and then it all happened so fast. So just make sure you educate yourself on what it is you're actually doing. Stay informed. We always say the best clients are educated clients. So just make sure you're asking the questions. There are no dumb questions. So even if you're listening to this in the car and you're like, hey, actually, what about this? And you would like an answer, feel free to shoot us a message. Be happy to answer that for you.
Yeah. So we'll kind of summarize, if you're switching careers, switching jobs, starting with a new company, you've experienced maybe a recent layoff or retiring, those are kind of the life events that happen when a rollover or a 401k or retirement plan consolidation happen. So if you're going through one of those events, that's the opportunity to take a look at what should I do next.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's different things that make more sense for each person, and analyze it, meet with the advisor, talk to them. And, if you have a good advisor, that advisor is going to actually look at your new retirement plan and kind of give you the pros and cons to that as well. So
yep.
Have them look at it. These are the options in there. Yes, it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I think anyone kind of going through those life events, that's the opportunity where it makes sense to view all those options.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't put it better than myself.
Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys have any other questions or regarding rollovers or anything else when it comes to retirement plans, feel free to shoot them over. Or if there's any other ideas you guys want to hear about or talk about, we're always open.
Send them our way.
We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.